Hello, hello. Welcome in. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Hello, rock stars. Oh, I'm so excited about this episode. Just going to make sure we're all up here. Let's see. Can I get a yes in the comments if you can see and hear me? I believe that you can. And if you could please share this out to friends and family, this is going to be an incredible episode. I'm so unbelievably excited about the guests that we have on today. Dr. Jason Ozuna is my husband, and he has changed my life more than any other soul on the planet. He came into my life at divine timing, perfect timing. He is a doctor of chiropractic. He was an engineer, but now he is a healer, a coach, a guide, and he helps people in their marriages. He helps people in their businesses, and he helps families and just anyone who wants to up-level their consciousness and heal their life. This is what Dr. Jason Ozuna has done. And what he's done in my life as just for me is he's helped 10x my business by honoring and valuing my worth. He has helped me 10x my relationships. My relationships are so much better because of him, and the way I perceive situations are differently, and just the way I feel about myself. He is someone who has drastically and radically changed the lives of so many clients. So say yes in the comments if you already know who he is. I know I'm super excited to have him on. Babe, welcome in. How you feeling? How you doing?
I'm feeling great. I'm so happy to be here. What an honor it is to be on a podcast with your wife.
I know. I'm so excited. I know we've done interviews before and lives before, but this one just hits different. It feels different. And I'm really excited to have you on. So I wanted to just ask you, so tell me, because most people don't really know kind of the desperation and how all of this started, how you started healing people, how you started doing events, how you started really impacting in the way that you're impacting. Can you tell me like what brought you here? Because I love that story, because a lot of people don't know your backstory and how you ended up here. And it's one of my favorites about your dad and just that day. Can you share a little bit about that?
Well, like what brought me here to you?
Yes.
So, I've always wanted to be in the healing business and help people around the world and understand how the mind works. And so, to make all that before I met her, short, basically, when my dad passed away, I was with somebody else actually at the time, an ex-girlfriend of mine, and I was just so sad. My dad was going through a lot. He was on hospice care, and so we were gone for about, I was gone from my ex for about 2 months. And so my dad had passed away, and at the same time my girlfriend had left me, right? And I don't, this is not anything against her, because things happen the way they happen, and nothing happens by accident. So I'm very thankful for the way everything turned out. But I was so devastated, right? And so I was like, I gotta make some changes in my life. I need some love. I need some support. And I went to a seminar where I met my wife. And when we met each other, there's just so many synchronicities that were happening. Like, we met in the elevator. There was only one seat open in the whole seminar right next to me when she was coming in looking for a seat. So there were so many things that happened. But something that I thought was so horrible in my life turned out to be something that was such a blessing. And so it led me to her, and the rest is history.
I love that so much. So everyone, can you comment yes? Because the reason I wanted him to start off with that story is because I feel like sometimes we don't realize the challenges in our life, babe, are leading us to blessings. And that is something that you teach and something you have taught me, and that I love so much, that, the death in the family, or the relationship ending, or, that jobs you didn't get, or whatever it is, these challenges that we face in our life are oftentimes blessings that we're in resistance to. And so comment yes in the chat if you've ever had a situation, a challenge that has turned into a blessing, because you teach this, how to not be resistant. You've literally saved marriages, you've saved lives. And I don't say this like nonchalantly. I say this because you actually have. And so what are the beliefs Like, what are some of the beliefs that you help people see, or what are some of the illusions that you help dispel when somebody comes into your coaching, when they come into your space? How are you getting them to see differently that's so drastically and radically changing their lives?
Well, if we pay attention to life, it's always trying to teach us. God's always trying to teach us. And when they come to me, I always teach people that there's a certain level of consciousness that we all have, and we can only raise our consciousness if we actually get the lesson, connect to the lesson, want to learn from the lesson, right? And so many of us are used to ignoring the lesson, right? We focus on the pain more than what God's trying to teach us, right? Or what life's trying to teach us. And so when we get to adult stage, then we're still kind of at the same level of adolescence in the way of consciousness. So when they come to me, since I have been doing my work, hundreds of thousands of dollars on work, millions of or thousands of miles of plane trips and hours of countless study, and then self-reflection, right? So now I've done the work to understand a certain amount. And I'm not more special than anybody else. I've just done the work. I'm special in the way where I've done the work, I guess. And so they come to me, and I help them learn the illusions of their lower conscious way of looking at their life or themselves, right? Much like the way I use the example of all the time. When a kid goes to Disney World, they see Mickey Mouse and they're like a monster, right? That's the illusion. And they're scared and they're stressed. And so I help them say, hey, that's not a monster. That's just a person in a mouse uniform that actually has their whole life revolving around making you happy, right? So it's actually out to serve you, not scare you. Right. Mm-hmm. So this is, in essence, this is the same thing that's happening with our life. Right. And so I show them that. But I always tell people it's easy to dispel something that's not true. Right. If you're willing to be open to the truth. Now, if we want to hold on to our illusions, then yeah, of course it's hard. But that's how I do it. Is usually they're, when they come to me, they're willing, they're open, and they're ready. And then that's how and then I just give them the information. And it's not just me, it's God flowing through me, right? So the biggest power that I tell people I have is I get out of God's way.
Oh, I love that. Everyone put in the comments, getting out of God's way. I love that so much. How many times, and this brings me to the next thing, is like we can be so resistant to God's lessons. And one of the things that I love that you teach is it's like that child in that dirty diaper, you know what I mean? We're being changed. Can you share that example? That's actually one of my favorite examples. Mm-hmm. And then as you're listening to this and as you're thinking about this, put in the comments or just think about, what is one area of my life I want to change? Maybe it's health, or maybe it's finances, or maybe it's business, or maybe it's relationships. And put it in the comments so I can see too. What is it? That one area of your life that you would like to dispel the illusions, that your life would be so much better if you got rid of the illusions or the perspective around it. Because I think so often we don't even realize we're bracing for the other shoe to drop. You know what I mean? We're bracing, like you said, and we're being terrified when life's actually so loving, it's so giving, and we're tuning into that. So if you could just share that example about the dirty diaper, I really like that one. And it triggers people too, which I like too, because our jobs here are not just to, help heal you. What we don't realize is sometimes those things that we want to run from, or those things that we want to avoid, that's where the magic lies. And so can you speak to a little bit more on that?
Well, I can speak to the triggering part before I get into that, which is like, truth goes through 3 stages all the time. And when we raise our consciousness level, when we raise our understanding of something, we're going from an unknown consciousness to a known consciousness, or a truth, right? But before we get there, we kind of go through this resistance. And so the first stage is it's ridiculed, made fun of. The second stage is violently opposed. And then the third stage is it's regarded as self-evident, right? So we kind of go through these resistances as we go along. But life is like that. It's like if whatever you believe in, life is trying to teach us something with every moment. Like I said, nothing happens on accident, right? There's always a lesson in everything that we do.
Yes.
And so since that's the case, everybody can relate to this, because if you have parents, or if you've ever taught somebody something, parents can know that, like, when they're trying to teach kids, the kids will resist the teachings that the parents give, right? Mm-hmm. But to make it more understandable for people, I say, imagine a baby. Imagine, a baby is getting the diaper change. It's not near the mother's heart anymore. It's not being held, and it feels like it's been forsaken, abandoned, and all this stuff. And it's like, I'm on my back, I'm cold, and I'm naked. And I'm so uncomfortable, and it's crying its eyes out, right? But if you all of a sudden gave it the truth to dispel the illusion of you're not abandoned, you're actually being cared for. You're actually literally being taken out of your own mess, so to speak, right? And if you could give the baby that consciousness, and all of a sudden it realized while it was crying and so uncomfortable that I'm actually being taken out of my own stuff, my own mess, and my own, you guys know what it is. Then if you ask yourself, what would happen if you were that baby and you all of a sudden had that realization during your most stressful time?
Wow.
What would you say? And the answer is thank you. Just gratitude. There would only be gratitude. There wouldn't be courage that's needed. There wouldn't be willpower or anything like that. There would just be a state of peace, which is all what this life is about, part of what it's about, and evolution. But there would be a lesson learned. There would be trust increased. There would be faith increased, and there would be gratitude, which puts us in a state, because gratitude isn't just an emotion. It's much more. It's a state of being. It's a vibration, right? It's a oneness with God, with the world. So, and it's such a powerful thing. From that place, our soul illuminates, and we are more powerful than ever. But it's something from just saying thank you. But this thank you comes from the realization of the truth, right? And that's how I take that same philosophy to everybody that I help and support.
Wow. Okay. Say amen in the comments if you picked that up, please, because did you hear what he said? That's what I started to tear up. I'm not sure if you felt that, but I was feeling just thank you. Imagine saying thank you for the challenges that you're being put in front of you in your life, and you're just like, oh, thank you. But a lot of us don't have that consciousness to say thank you for this. But if we start to create these new beliefs and these new perspectives, they're that life changing. And you do this not just with your own self-reflection, but in marriages too, and in all relationships, even in death or ending relationships. It's just like you take it and you change the way someone perceives it. It's like you give them a new perspective, new consciousness, and now the situation changes so drastically because there's not so many judgments. Is this right? Are we on the?
Yeah. You take a relationship and you take, again, going back to the consciousness level, if you just simply think about it for a little while and just say, well, if I'm not taught something, then I can't know something. And none of us are, so few of us are really taught, what emotions are, how to get along with people, how to work things out, how to cooperate, how to have compassion, what compassion is, or even what love is, right? Love, a lot of people think love is being kind or nice or what have you, but love is like a true acceptance of somebody as they are. It's a unconditional perspective. It's an unconditional consciousness around a thing or someone, right? So when you don't have the conditions of I need them to be this way, or if they do this, then I'll love them, then there's a true appreciation for the work of art that was created in front of them, right? Wow. And if they can do this for in front of them, they can do this for themselves. Now, if they don't have that ability when they get together in a marriage, then they're like two little kids wanting their way, fighting with each other, throwing tantrums, and all these things, right?
Yeah.
So when we just give them we illuminate the truth, which is, this is what's going on. Nobody taught you, and now you're here to learn. If they're open to that fact, they can either get offended and be like, oh, well, no, I'm an adult, or it's their fault. And that's usually where we start off in marriages, is that both people are pointing the finger at each other, right? But when they start to see, I need to look within, I need to see what I'm not, where I'm attached to my way, instead of inspired by the cooperation and the teamwork that goes on to impact the world. Right? So when we help them with that, then that's what helps them grow up, so to speak, and work together and truly appreciate one another, not because they're trying to be kind anymore, but because they truly know the truth of the miracle that's within them and across from them. So
wow. Put miracle in the comments if you're with us here, if you're picking up what we're laying down. And what I love is it's in marriages, but it's also in every relationship and situation that has happened in our life. Because some people have lost husbands or lost wives, or, have gone through loss, or have gone through, a health issue. And so what you're saying is you're completely rewiring kind of the nervous system to experiencing life a different way. And it actually makes me want to cry, because we're basically, life is so much kinder than we perceive it to be.
Yeah.
And the only thing you're saying that is in the way from us experiencing that love of life is the illusions that are placed before us, that we place before us, or that have been programmed or before us, right? Like when we were in childhood and those types of things.
That's right. And it's like a rewiring. It's also a new wiring, right? Because if you think about it, well, a child, if they weren't put in school, then you're not only rewiring the non-schooling that they have, you're giving them the information or the new installation of wiring for all the lessons and grades if they got into school, right? So it's a rewiring of the consciousness level they were at as we install the truth or upgrade the truth in their physiology and their perspective and the reality.
That's just so big. Okay, so for people watching who want to, let's just up level. I know we have people who want to heal physical ailments. We have people who want to heal relationships and marriages. I know we have people who want to upgrade their finances. How do they start on the healing journey, no matter what it is or what area they want to heal? What's that first step to being like, I'm so ready to heal this?
Well, we kind of hear it in the 12-step programs and Alcoholics Anonymous is like, admit you have an issue, right? I wouldn't call it a problem, because it's not really a problem. It's more of just something that we want to address, something that we want to be aware of, something that we want to acknowledge that's going on.
Yeah.
Right. So if we acknowledge that's the first thing. Because if we don't think like, well, I'm going to deal with my anger issues, but I'm not angry. Well, then you're not going to ask, well, how do I not get angry? Because you don't think you are. Right. So the first is the self-reflection of like, this is the outcome that I don't want. What in me is causing this? And asking that question of like, what in me needs to be healed? What in me needs to be addressed? What in me needs to be connected with and grow, right? What scares me? What's my current state of consciousness? What's my issue? And so when we admit that this is it, then we can ask and look for the proper teachers and guides to support us to alleviating that problem. Right? Even Elon Musk does that with going to Mars or space. He's like, how do I create rockets? He didn't make the rockets himself, right?
Yeah.
He just asked the question, how do I make a rocket company? And then the answers come to him, right? So that's the first step, is one, admitting that it's in you, and asking. Two would be asking, how do I, looking for somebody to support you, and asking the question, how do I do this? Can you help me with this? And then being open to it, to receive it, and then applying it.
Wow. I love that so much. And this is important too, because I know in my own journey, comment yes, or tell me if this is kind of relates to you, where you kind of want to do everything yourself. You're like, I got this. Say yes in the comments if you've ever been that person. You're like, I'm good. I can handle this myself. I know I've been there too, where I'm just like, okay, I know this, but I realized through my journey that having coaches, having mentors, having that support has just been life-changing. Actually, letting people help me is so important. And you've been one of those people where, Jason used to, he used to tease me, but he would say sometimes I ski uphill, which is funny because we actually do have a story where I did go up to a hill that I was not ready for on the mountain, and I thought I was going to be fine, and it took me an hour to get down this mountain that should have just took 2 minutes. But I don't do that anymore. But it was just so interesting to me that I'm like, I got this, I can do this. When really I needed a ski trainer, someone to show me how to do pizza, someone to show me how to ski. But I was like, no, I got this. And I almost broke both my legs for it. I don't do that anymore. But I tease and I joke and I laugh because some of this stuff can maybe feel heavy sometimes. Oh, I love what Michael said in the comments. He said, the power of it begins and ends with me. And so I think that's so huge, because what you're saying is, it's all within us. It's within us. We like to think that it's on the outside. It's the other person. We'd like to point the finger and blame. So here's my question. Here's my next question to you. Let's just say we're triggered. And that trigger comes up and we're like, this guy or this girl or whatever we're thinking. And we're thinking it's the other person that is causing us to feel this way. Can you explain how do we do this? Like, so when the trigger comes up, what's a way that someone could navigate that trigger in a different way?
Well, obviously, somebody can trigger something in us, and somebody is doing something, and we are having a reaction to it, right? And so you can kind of like get your foot in the door by just saying, well, sure, they're doing something, but if this thing that they're doing was in front of 100 people, then the reaction to it would be as diverse as the number, right? It would be 100 different reactions. And why is it different? Why aren't they all the same if it's truly the person's fault in front of you? Okay. As to why we're feeling the way we're feeling, right? So it doesn't mean that whether they're right or wrong, say they're flipping us off, and it doesn't mean that they're right for that or wrong for that. It doesn't mean anything like that. We're interested in our peace and our stress and how we perceive somebody doing that to us, right? So if we say, well, out of the 100 people, it'd be a range from somebody sending love back to them, to not caring at all, to being aggressive and obviously sending it back or wanting to fight, right? So there's all various different things. But when we realize that they're all different reactions, then we can actually say, well, then why are they different? And why is mine at the level that it's at? And then we can say, well, did I get very reactive? And if so, why? Was there a time where this reminded me of maybe my father or my mother doing this, or maybe a sibling or a friend, or just bullies, in school? And if that's the case, then that's where the healing needs to take place. That's where a change in perspective, because you can go back to, like, let's just say bully. Well, I was just a victim. It's like, well, if it was more than that, what would it be? And then we can say, well, maybe I was trying to learn that I'm not weak. Maybe it was trying to learn that I'm attracting people to pick on me because I don't realize how strong I am, right? Maybe my self-esteem is low, and they see me hanging my head low, and I'm literally attracting that into my life. So let me learn. Let me bring my head up high. Let me know that I'm enough. Let me know that I'm created by God, that I'm a work of art, that I'm perfect the way I am as a growing, evolving human being. Then we can start, and how much of that pattern am I still carrying today, right? And so then we can start to we can take that simple thing of somebody flipping us off, and we can actually go deep, and we can raise our consciousness from it and get the gifts from it like we could have gotten back then, but we can get them still today. Wow. And that's the beauty of it. We can have all this trauma in our life, and we can say, like, if I ask everybody, how much trauma do you have? And everybody's like, well, I got so much. Well, that's that thing that you do, like this much or this much, is how many gifts are waiting for you.
Oh, everyone put gifts in the chat. That's exciting.
That's right. So that's what I would say to that.
I love that so much. And I know you guys can probably see his hand coming over my screen. We are in the same room. Hello.
I'm going to teleport into...
He is also a master of teleportation. No, I'm teasing. I just noticed your hand coming through my screen. So the
I'm
beauty
actually in Texas and she's in Philadelphia.
No, this is not true. We are here together. So the reason, so why does this matter so much in someone's life? Is because basically, if I'm the cause, that means that I can be the cure. That's basically what you're saying. And I really want everyone to understand this, and put yes in the comments if you're picking up what he's laying down, because the more you engage, the more you interact, the more you're rewiring your brain to understand, okay, I am the creator of my reality. And if there is something that needs energy and within me that needs to be freed, then God, source, universe loves me so much that will attract a situation to free that old bound energy up. So we can actually know the truth, dispel the illusions that we're not enough, like you're saying, Jason, or dispel the illusions that, we can't be loved, or that we can't heal, whatever that is. And it's exciting to me to know that if I get emotional when I think about it. If I'm the cause, then I'm the cure, because it's life-changing to take that kind of full responsibility in your life. And he's also saying, check this out, the biggest victims can be the biggest gift bringers. Is that what you're also saying as well?
Yes. Because once you start, we flip over to the gift side. We go from not enough, in life, to like, I'm a bad person, to I'm not enough because I'm everything. I'm everyone, right? I'm connected to all the people, right? So we evolve these perceptions, right? So if we're like a victim and the universe is out to get me, then it turns into the universe is out to support me. The universe is out to love me.
Wow.
Life is always for me. It's always teaching me something. And we go to victim to victor, right? So that's what I would say around that.
That's exciting, from victor or to victim to victor. I love that so much, because we're basically rewiring. I love what Michael in the comments said. He said it's really tough to relearn and unwire the subconscious, though. We know better, hence the frustrations. So what can you tell someone who's in that moment? And say yes in the comments if you've had a situation in your life where it's almost like you're hijacked. In that moment, you're hijacked, okay? You're not yourself. The little boy, the little girl is up to the surface, and they want to project, they want to blame, they want to be victimized. How do we start that process of healing when we want to point to something outside of us? Yes, it could have triggered that energy within us, but it's our energy, right? And there's a healing that could take place. And I love what you said. And this is going to be controversial, because not everybody is going to agree with this, because it's a higher level of consciousness, what I know you're about to explain. But the forgiveness process you do with our clients, and you've done it with me. And when Jason first told me that, just so everybody understands, I was like, bullshit. I was so mad when he told me. Well, I was like,
let me just say that all truth is controversial until you attain it.
Yes.
Right. It's always going to be like, at the bottom levels of consciousness. Before we get there, that's the resistance part.
Yeah.
Right. But then when we really look at it, I tell people all the time, especially when I'm talking about compassion, and right and wrong. I'm not saying anything different than the great religious teachers of the world, or religions of the world, or gurus of the world, or self-development leaders. Right.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to explain what they meant. Right. When these great religious leaders say, don't judge people are like, especially the ones that have been jaded by the actions, they're gonna be like, well, of course I'm going to judge. This hurt me. And that's what they want to defend that. Right. So it's only controversial in the beginning until we realize and wake up to the truth that unites us.
Absolutely. 100%. I love that so much.
Even world peace is controversial.
Yeah, for sure. And I think what you're also saying is that our judgment and our lack of acceptance and our hate and our resentment is actually adding to the consciousness in the field of that energy.
Yeah.
So if I'm looking at a murderer and I'm like judging him, he's horrible, I hate him, look what he did, when really it's just a deeply wounded, unconscious person. That doesn't mean we condone his behavior. That doesn't mean that there shouldn't be consequences and justice. It just means my hate for him.
Your feeling around it, the stress that we feel.
It's not going to help me or him.
Yeah. Instead of looking at it like, well, there's a very hurt person that's been through a lot in their life, and this is why they did it. And of course, we're not saying the understanding means condonance. We're saying that this is why they did it. Right. So if this is why they did it, then I don't have to feel bad for it. I just have to be part of the thing that's the solution to create less people like this in the world. Right.
Wow.
So that's the way we can look at compassion is a sign of intelligence. It's a sign of like, I understand this about human beings. I understand this about life. When parents look at their kids throwing tantrums, they're not like, oh, well, actually some of them are.
Yeah.
But the ones that know, they're like, well, it's a toddler. Of course, this is what they do. It's my responsibility to teach them how to not do that. Right. And usually a parent can teach them with either that stress, that judgment in their heart. And they can say, well, you're a bad kid for doing this. Or they can say like, hey, I totally understand. And this is how you do it. This is how you respond. This is how you look at it. And we give them the consciousness and we teach them. Right.
Yeah.
And if we can do that with ourselves, with life, then we will benefit in the same way. We'll grow.
Oh, I love that so much. This is really powerful because you teach a concept and it's up there, right? And so this is what I'm going to say is there's nothing to forgive. Now, that doesn't mean that traditional forgiveness isn't important and isn't the first part of the step. And it's actually taken me years to fully understand that concept that there's nothing left to forgive. And I remember being so triggered when I was like, no, I was like, these people hurt me. They, no, I was jaded and I'm a Leo, so I can hang on to a grudge until I die. And so I was like, no, there's people who have hurt me. And it changed me though, that there's nothing to forgive because we are all imperfect. We are all these imperfect beings making mistakes, and it brought such compassion and peace to my life and for how I talk to myself and then also view others.
That's right.
And so can you talk a little bit about the forgiveness process that you go through, like, and how you can get to, there's nothing left to forgive, really?
Well, at first it starts off with I need this to feel good. Like if you give me the apology, then your wrongdoing is acknowledged, and we look at it from the point of view of right and wrong.
Right.
Right. But then we start to evolve and we start to look at it like, well, we're actually going through something like a lesson, right? Like you did something, I did something. Who knows what I did before, especially in relationships. It's like, well, my wife treats me like this. And then I go to the wife and they're like, well, he's doing this. And then I go to him, well, I did that because she's doing this. So it's like sometimes we're unconscious to the role we play, right? But if we start to realize,
say yes in the comments if you can relate to what he's saying too,
Yeah.
about the ping pong, the back and forth with the energy. Well, they did this. Well, you did this. Say yes in the comments if you've experienced this, because I just feel like it's so relatable. Please continue.
So when we start to look at each other and like what's happening is we're in quarrel with somebody that's our reflection, right? And if we can see what we're judging, in other words, the thing that we're not talking about the action that we want to change. We can communicate that with each other. We can change it together, right? Or if they don't want to change, then we move away, right? But the stress part is the unwillingness to see our part in it, or that there's a human being in front of us that cares about us and loves us, right? So when we get down to it, then we see that we're just two human beings going through an experience to evolve together when we get the lessons from that experience. And then once you see that, then it's like, well, there's what's there to forgive? It's just like if you're watching two kids fight over a toy, then the one that's throwing the tantrum doesn't know any better. And so, or the one that's being selfish doesn't know any better. So it can ask for forgiveness, but not from a, needing it would be from a place of not understanding that the whole reason we're upset is because we're attached to a certain judgment and expectation of the way we think things should be. And if we start to let that go of, I let things be the way they are, not a condonance thing, but from a judgment stress thing.
Yeah.
Right. And so then now let me connect. Now that I'm still clear, still level-headed, still in my heart, let me say, please don't treat me like that. Please do this differently. Right. And then we start to we look back on these quarrels and fights like, wow, that taught me so much. And then we go from, I need you to apologize to, thank you. Right? Because what are we thankful for? Well, we're thankful for the lessons we got, for the evolution, the higher consciousness, the realizations that we made that allow us to feel love at a higher level. And if we can see more of God's beauty, if we can see more of the miracles of life, if we can see more of the miracles of ourselves and of each other, isn't that something to be thankful for? The attainment of peace. And it's all through all these things that we're, quote unquote, going through, all these fights. And if we're just willing to let go of, this is such a bad thing to me, and we're willing to connect and learn from it, then beauty will come from it all the time, and miracles. Yeah.
Are you guys feeling this in your heart? Because, when I bring teachers or people on here, my goal is that we are opening your heart to the gift of what you are and all the magic within you. Can you say yes in the comments if you are experiencing some of the heart opening energy that I am right now? Because as he's talking, I'm, I have worked with so many clients that have been so hurt, and they all say things like they should have known better. But really, everyone's just doing the best that they can based on their make and model of the world. And so what you're actually teaching right now, and not just teaching through your words, but through your energy, because I can actually feel it. We're doing so much more than just speaking to you on an energetic level. And so you're teaching us compassion, to see through the eyes of compassion. Because if, how many times, say yes in the comments if you've had to learn something twice and you did something and then you did the same thing again and you're like, I should have known better, but you didn't know better, or you would have done better. And so I love what is her name? Louise Hayes says. She says that we should eliminate the word should from our vocabulary, because everyone is really doing the best that they can. And especially if, someone is very wounded, you're saying we have an opportunity, whether we show up in our wounds, right? And then we're both defending our own perspectives. It's just like, I'm right. And it's two egos fighting each other. So the way out is actually because you and I have a game, and that you can use this game with anyone. You can use it with moms, dads, sisters, brothers, friends, family members, bosses, whoever, marriages. But it's and we tease about this, but whoever apologizes first wins.
Yeah.
So it's really just like, and we ask like, hey, I'm unconscious right now, and I'm super wounded, and I really need you to step up. And when you ask from that place and you're admitting, you know what, I might not be saying this right. Can you help? It's a totally different energy. And then your fights, you can still fight, but it will be so less of this and more of this. It's like you're coming together, you're communicating, you're connecting in a way that is, just way more productive. Yeah. And you're growing and healing together. And so when you're talking about this, because do you believe that every situation that we're encountering, like, are we in Earth School? Are we experiencing these lessons? Like, talk to me about the challenges that people are facing in their life and how that they can start to see and perceive these as different. Like, because there's so many illusions up, whether it's with finances or health or your business or your relationships. Like, we think sometimes things have to be harder than they are, and we kind of make them harder than they need to be. Can you talk about how do we dispel the illusions? How do we start to see that truth?
I would say one of the biggest ones is just our faith and trust in God, faith and trust in life that's happening for us, not to us, that something is taking care of us, right? That something is actually taking care of us, that loves us so much that it really is with us every second of the day, right? Now, if we separate from that awareness, then we get into like, well, then now it's me. I got to do it. Everything revolves around me. I got to do everything, right? And the more we do that, the more isolated we become, the more powerless we become, because we're cutting off from our source, right? The source of all creation. So when we start to get, let go of the willingness, the wantingness to be right, that's one of the big ones right there, is that we want to be right because, so often we were punished when we were young. So we see more gain, more reward in being right. And we forget that, like, there are things that we want to be wrong about. Like, yes. I want to be wrong about that I'm not enough. I want to be wrong about that life is too hard. I want to be wrong about that, my life will never change, or that God doesn't love me more than everything in the world, right? Like, those are things that we want to be wrong about. So if we look at it like I'm surrendering my stance and being open to the truth and to growth and evolution, then we can start to make the growth. But you also want to give yourself time for that. Like she was asking earlier, how do we start this coaching journey? How do we make it through it? Is we want to know that just like it takes time to learn Spanish or the piano or the guitar, it takes time to learn your consciousness. It takes time to learn about yourself and about life and to change the habits that have been there your entire life. But the more we admit that they're there without any judgment, shame, or blame on ourselves, just for the pure awareness of, I want to change this lovingly, acceptingly, then we get to do that. And all of our energy goes to, that used to go to judgment, shame, and blame, and guilt, and all this stuff goes to the solution, which is like, let me be the change. Let me give that love to myself first, because I haven't even had it first. I'm too busy. The more we make people wrong or something wrong, we're doing the same thing to ourselves. When we do something, it's like, I shouldn't have done that. And then we beat ourselves up, or we people please. And even, this all kind of like goes into step by step, like dominoes, into the coaching thing, where sometimes we'll feel so down about ourselves and we'll want to people please because we're trying to earn our worth, because we don't understand how worthy we are. And then we can't even ask for help from coaches or guides or preachers at church, or God with prayer. We can't do that because we feel like we're not good enough. So we don't even ask, right? Or we don't think that we're capable of it. But if we start to say like, hey, I am capable of it. And of course, if we expected things to change overnight and they didn't, then we say, well, that's one more reason why I'm not enough. Instead of like, well, this is part of the process. It takes time for us to grow. It takes time for us to learn something new. So when we understand all this stuff and we put it all together, then we're like, I'm a miracle. I'm a growing soul. I'm loved completely and infinitely, and I'm growing more and every day that I let myself, and I'm surrounded by love everywhere I go. And there's a miracle that I'm a part of, that I get to witness every second of my life. So yeah, that's
That's
I
it. No
feel it
big
too.
deal.
Like I can feel the spirituality, and I'm like, wow.
I know.
But again, it's these moments when we're connected to our soul, is God speaking through us. Is like, even when you're hearing with the presence of like something that we're all connected to, right? And of course, everybody is religion or faith or beliefs are different, but you know, there is something more to us. Right?
Yes.
So, and it loves us. So that's what I'm saying.
Oh, I love that so much. Thank you. Can I get an amen in the comments for that? An amen, what that means is so be it, so it is, that there is something that is loving us, whether it's infinite organizing wisdom, divine, God, source, Jesus, whatever you say based on your beliefs, love. But there is something that is really loving us. And I think what you're saying is what blocks our healing is just our judgments and our perceptions and our illusions towards actually what is taking place in our life. And so to heal our life, to heal on purpose, you're saying not to run from this. And he said something, guys, and I want you to really remember this. He said, the judgments we have around the bad like bad emotions, and he was basically saying there is no bad and there is no good, there is no right, there is no wrong. That doesn't mean we condone certain behaviors. That doesn't mean we don't think justice should happen. It just means
things are hurtful, you know.
Yeah.
Like that, we're not saying that,
Right.
We're saying that you know, because if, say, my father passing away, that is obviously very hurtful. But if I keep on calling it bad, instead of, there's nothing to learn from it, there's nothing to grow from it, there's nothing to see the beauty and the blessings of, then I won't see them. Right? And one of them is sitting right next to me.
Thank you so much. Yeah, because if your dad didn't pass, you wouldn't have met me.
So if you guys think about it, like sometimes we want to be right about how bad our life is, but if we win that argument, then we get to feel bad. We get to like let it eat away at our body. We get to be stressed out about it. We get to feel like I'm not enough and life's not enough and life's out to get me. But if we start to see like, no, this is just another challenge that was on the way to more peace, more joy, more love. And maybe I don't understand, like if at that time, maybe I don't understand how, what death is, and being back with God is how beautiful that is. Right? So when we grow all these understandings, when we get the gifts, then all of a sudden we get to be wrong about what we thought it was before, and we get to feel so wonderful, peaceful, and loving. And we get to share that love with each other, rather than all of us being like, oh, your life was bad too? Yeah, so was mine. Let's just sit here and stew.
Yes,
right?
Exactly.
Now, this doesn't mean don't be empathetic with each other.
And don't connect with each other and share. Yeah.
And love each other, but not to stay stuck in it, that,
right.
You know, in this belief system that you know, there's all these bad things that are out to get us, or that we're bad ourselves.
And I want everyone to, can you guys just type miracle in the chat? Because that's, I feel like the frequency we're tuning into is miracles, like being walking, talking miracles, because we have no idea that every moment, every second, we are constantly cursing or blessing the field around us. Right. And so what you're saying is to see from new eyes, where there is no good, there is no bad. If your father passes, feel the grief, feel that sadness, don't judge it. Because then you're, you know, because it's when we're in resistance to feeling that grief or sadness and we shove it down, that's when we get illnesses or sickness, right? When we're not allowing the emotions to process through us. And there's something that you've taught me with like, don't really have a lot of time gaps. Or I've learned it. And I remember we do this in our own relationship too. And that's when something is upsetting you, don't stew on it. Either say something about it, change it, or leave the situation, but don't just stew on it in your head, because then there's a time gap and it creates resentment and it creates a lot of ailments in your body. So if you get used to speaking your mind, like if I'm like, oh, babe, that kind of hurt my feelings. You know, I know this is my stuff, but can you be a little bit more of this? And then we can work together. And this includes everyone, not just in marriages, but in any relationship. And so as we're moving into this miracle frequency of connecting with source, connecting with God, connecting with our higher power, whatever you believe, I do believe the healing is taking place on this. I can actually feel it in my own heart. And so for those listening that want to heal on purpose, that want to, you know, find that financial freedom or heal their money wounds, or they want to heal their marriages or their relationships, or, you know, up level their business or their health, heal something in their life. What is one lasting thing? Because you've already given us so much gold. Like I can you guys say yes in the comments if you're loving Jason, because like I know I'm biased. I know he's my husband, but I just I'm feeling it today, and I hope you can feel my heart too. And we're just sending you lots of love from here, because I know that everyone's moving through stuff, and we're not saying to, if you're hurting, if you're in a bad spot, I'm not saying to get rid of these feelings. I'm not saying to run from these feelings. I'm saying that these are we're saying these are sacred treasures. To those things that you're avoiding are where the magic lies in our life.
Yeah. Actually, I have something to say.
Yes, please go ahead.
So, you know, you want to also remember that our feelings are kind of like the soul sensory mechanisms, right?
Yeah.
So just like we have senses in our hands and our skin, we have smell sensory and hearing,
Yeah.
sight. Well, when you're going through an experience or watching a movie, you know, your emotions are the things that let you experience the movie, right? They were never meant to be like, oh, I'm feeling like rejected, so I'm a reject. It was just simply to be like, I'm feeling rejected, right? I get my experience, and with every experience comes lessons and learning.
Yes.
Right? We cannot have a lesson without an experience. If we're disconnected from what our experience is, then we can't get the lesson of what life is trying to teach us.
Wow.
Right? So if we start to look at it like, let me feel this emotion, then let me get my experience, and let me be open to the lessons that it's trying to teach me, then we'll evolve and grow, right? But if we shut down our emotions and we look at them like bad or weak, or this means this, then we don't get to actually have our experience that's trying to evolve us and get us more towards that peaceful state that we're all looking for, right? That connection with God that we're looking for, and with each other. So start to look at these emotions like these aren't meant to stay stuck in. These are meant to just feel. As soon as, like, when you hear a joke, you feel the humor, and it's gone after the joke is gone. Or unless maybe if you remember it again, you might laugh again. But you're not just stuck in a perpetual state of laughter. Right?
Right.
So, and then on the other side of that, if you're just sitting in the audience listening to a comedian, you're just like a robot, right? It's like, what's everybody laughing at?
Right.
So just start to really have reverence for these feelings, in that sense of like, we become a master of them rather than they becoming a master of us.
Oh, I love that.
And then we evolve our emotional intelligence, and then that's just one thing that evolves our consciousness.
Yes. What I'd love for everyone to take off of this, because we're out of time, but truly what to take off of this, how to heal on purpose, is to dispel the illusions that you have. And one of my favorite things that you are said is, do you want to be right that they don't love you? Or do you want to be right that this is happening? Like, I love that so much. Sometimes I think that, I love what Tony Robbins says. He's like, sometimes we'd rather be right than be loved, which is crazy. So just flipping that around and saying, what are the stories that I want to tell myself? And how do I show up when I believe this person doesn't love me, like my sister-in-law or my sister, whoever, I'm showing up defensive and guarded already. And so it's hi, Pam. And so it's a beautiful thing when we shift and change our perspective around this, and we start to tell more loving and kind stories, because as we change the inside, the outside changes. It's crazy, isn't it? That just healing what's on the inside changes the outside so much. Very, very little action. It's just like it's like a cleansing thing that happens. We don't even realize that our judgments and our perspectives are holding certain things into place, whether it's our money, our finances, our relationships, our health. And as we shift and change that, everything around us changes. So thank you, Dr. Jason Ozuna, for coming on. You're love, and sharing your insights. And I know if people are interested in getting in touch with Jason, we do have a live event in January, which I've just announced, January 25th. I'm sorry, January 24th and 25th. We're super excited about that. Spark Your Rockstar Live. We hope everyone can make it. I'll post the link. And if you want to connect with Jason and learn more about his programs or our programs, you can always reach out to me on Facebook in a message, and I'll also post the link in the comments. Thank you so much, babe. Thank you for coming on. So grateful. How about a kiss? Show people magic.
I was like, you want me to go to your world, or you want to come to mine?
All right, y'all.
Met in the middle.
Right, met in the middle. Have a beautiful rest of your day, and we hope you take this magic into your relationships, in your business, in your finances. This Heal on Purpose podcast is truly for people who are ready to not wait for an outside situation to trigger them into healing, but this is where we heal on purpose. We transform our consciousness as a matter of will, and we change the world. So have a beautiful rest of your day, and we will talk to you soon. Bye.